In 2008, the U.S. Geological Survey sparked a fracking boom in my home state of North Dakota when they announced that an estimated 3 to 4.3 billion barrels of recoverable oil rested under the state in the Bakken Three Forks Formation. Oil is dirty business. In the Bakken, spills, pipeline breaks, and well blowouts are frequent. According to the New York Times, between 2006 and 2014, an estimated 18.4 million gallons of oil and chemicals were spilled, leaked, or misted into the air, soil, and waters of North Dakota. Since 2014, a study of incident reports shows that spills, large and small, continue to happen at a rate of 1 every 1.7 days. And all of this in a rural region where most people depend on well water, groundwater. At present, over 1 million barrels a day are extracted in the oil patch, and along with the crude comes a co-produced natural gas. Reluctant to slow the boom by forcing oil companies to capture the natural gas, state leaders have allowed producers to flare off between 22 to 36% of the natural gas. If you drive through the Bakken, you will see flares coming out of the ground beside the pump jacks, emitting fumes that deliver payloads of CO2 into the atmosphere, along with sulfur dioxide and other carcinogens. It also seems important to mention a quirk in the structure of state government in North Dakota. Because the state is mostly rural, and before the boom, a lightly populated state with one major industry, agriculture, the state legislature meets biennially, leaving much of the decision-making to a three-person body known as the Industrial Commission. Charged with overseeing the state's utilities, industries, enterprises, and business projects, the Industrial Commission consists of the Governor, the Agriculture Commissioner, and the Attorney General. Think about it. 3 elected individuals in a remote, oil-rich state in charge of all these zoning, leasing, and regulatory decisions. It's a structural weakness many have suggested, upon which the oil industry has capitalized. First the Bakken, then the Three Forks Formation, even deeper. The oil patch, they call it. 2 miles below the surface, oil embedded in shale, late Devonian remnants of the anoxic sea, the coastal carbonate layer deposited when the Middle West was inner ocean. 400 billion barrels estimated rest there, perhaps more, light and tight. The largest oil find in North American history. Conflict-free oil, they say, eliminating the dominance of energy-rich rogue nations. The boom began in Montana, Alberta, and then it spread to North Dakota, drawn within our borders by a friendly change to the state tax code. Now 11,000 wells pump, 1 million barrels a day, 30,000 new workers converging on small towns, people housed in man camps, mostly good people, some desperate, some dangerous. The talk is about the rise in crime, robberies, stabbings, domestic disputes. A Sydney, Montana woman, early morning jogger, mother and math teacher, was grabbed by the side of the road, later found strangled. The murderers bought a shovel at Walmart to bury her, and then returned it for a refund later. That's how the police caught them. So the talk centers on the observable, the damage to infrastructure, the eyesore roads where there were no roads before, the old highways pitted and full of potholes, undrivable, dangerous, the speed of the oil and gas water trucks on the public roads, the rise in highway fatalities. To frack, you must drill down through topsoil stratum, sedimentary rock, down through freshwater aquifers to reach the dolomite, the source rock. Drill vertically, then horizontally to reach the shale, injecting millions of gallons of water per frack, laced with hundreds of chemicals, some of them linked to cancer, most of them proprietary to corporations, unknowable to ordinary citizens, unaskable, since the Halliburton loophole of 2005 exempted fracking from protections guaranteed to all citizens in the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1974. We knew, we couldn't say, we didn't know. Except what's certain? Benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylene, volatile organic compounds, and diesel fuel, around 1% per gallon used in the Bakken shale, plus the radium inert in the rocks brought back up in the fracking fluid after it's made its long journey below to gather the oil, and then brought topside to be separated out and shipped to wastewater centers where it's treated, cleaned in condensate tanks, some of them lined, some unlined, seeping into the ground, toxins evaporating into the air. What's left over, uncleanable, trucked in water tankers to be disposed of, re-injected into the land previously known as away. So for this next poem that's in this series, I'm actually going to backtrack to the beginning of the poem and backtrack in time too, and just give you a little background about something else that's going on in the state that actually impacts what's going on with the boom and fracking. And this poem is called Silos. Ground Zero, we believed we were Ground Zero, North Dakota, 1964. Minutemen sleeping in silos by the thousands. We knew, we couldn't say, we didn't know. ICBMs pockmarking the landscape, encased in concrete silos 6 stories deep, buried in pastures, surrounded by cyclone wire, where Holsteins muzzled through for ungrazed grass. Silos bordering wheat fields, where farmers pressed close by with plows, seeders, combines, watched by soldiers year-round in uniform, rifles in hand. Small buried things, the great mirror underworld, grain silos above, missile silos below. Some people said they felt safer. Some said it helped the local economy. Some liked the men the missiles brought to town. And there were launch command centers, disguised as family ranch homes, sprinkled around the countryside. There was the basketball hoop above the garage door. There's a radio tower on the roof. There was an army jeep parked in the driveway. There was the chain link fence around the perimeter. And below ground, deep concrete bunkers where launch sequences were memorized by the buried few, the survivors, those who would avenge us at the ready to strike after we were obliterated. For decades, they memorized codes, protocols, launch sequences, controlling the cluster of 10 missiles each at their command. We knew. We couldn't say. We didn't know. But look around you. To the west, Minot Air Force Base. To the east, Grand Forks Air Force Base. How many air bases does one state need? Only the best get stationed up north, the airmen said. What else could they say about drawing the short straw? The assignment in Siberia. Surely they'd offended someone as powerful as Stalin to be shipped here. Strategically located, we were told we were strategic. Russia, not as far away as it might seem, one quick arc over the ice cap, North Dakota to Moscow, the shortest line between 2 points, they told us, the small converging world of the Arctic Circle. We knew, we couldn't say, we didn't know. Ground Zero. Later, we realized North Dakota would have been the 3rd largest nuclear power in the world if we'd seceded from the Union. Beyond groundwater contamination, now earthquakes in Colorado, Arkansas, the swath of states between Alabama and Montana, a six-fold increase over 20th century levels, at least a dozen quakes last year in northern Ohio, one measuring up to 4.8 on the Richter scale. Speculation about the 30,000 disposal sites around the country where fracking wastewater is deposited, re-injected for final disposal into a deeper layer known as the basement rock. The speculation about fracking itself, deep underground explosions to extract oil, the water causing shifting plates, lubricating faults. Look for damage to homes. Look for reports of contaminated drinking water. Look for increases in breast cancer, miscarriages, birth defects. We knew, we couldn't say, we didn't know. Ground zero. And this just in. The Air Force reports 150 Minutemen silos still rest underground, honeycombed deep below in northwestern North Dakota, embedded in the fracking zone. The commander of the air base says, "We certainly can coexist with the oil industry." The Petroleum Council vice president says, "We're communicating about how we share our territory." The Air Force commander reports, "The drilling frenzy has presented no ill effects to the ICBMs." Ultra-sensitive instruments possessed by the Air Force, we are assured, can detect seismic activity as far away as Mexico, capable of tracking even the slight vibrations caused by the simplest of thunderstorms. In 2015, the Oklahoma State Geophysical Survey reported increased seismic activity in the state, from 20 earthquakes in 2000 to 5,417 earthquakes in 2014. They also determined the cause of the increase. 94% of the 5,000 plus quakes occurred in close proximity to basement rock wastewater disposal sites. The cause of the 2013 Tesoro pipeline break that emptied 860,000 gallons of oil onto 13 acres of a farmer's field in Tioga, North Dakota, was a quarter-inch hole in the pipeline caused by a lightning strike. At the time, the state had not one hazardous materials inspector to safeguard its 653 miles of intrastate pipelines. In January 2015, a Bridger pipeline rupture outside of Glendive, Montana, emptied 50,000 gallons of crude into the Yellowstone River, contaminating the city's water supply with volatile organic compounds such as benzene. The cause of the rupture was a faulty 1950s welding technique that runs the entire length of the aging Poplar pipeline system, which is still in use. Similarly, in July of 2010, an Enbridge pipeline rupture in Michigan dumped more than 1 million gallons of Alberta tar sands crude into Michigan's waterways. An NTSB probe later revealed that Enbridge had known about the line's weakness since 2005, but had done nothing to fix it, and that pipeline operators were so accustomed to false alarms that they ignored alerts about the spill for more than 17 hours. Some people may view these events as local disasters, the cost of doing business, occurring in remote parts of the country populated by people who are unlikely to rise up or make a fuss about what's just happened to them. Many people in my home state of North Dakota worry that this beautiful gem of a place where they live has already been written off as an energy sacrifice zone, a resource-rich and resource-cursed place that will have to be ruined so the rest of the nation can enjoy the benefits of conflict-free oil. And it might even be easier to sleep knowing that the damage is somewhere far away, in a forgotten corner of a forgotten state. But look outside your window. If you live near a railway line, chances are very good that mile-long oil trains roll past you as you sleep. The people of Castleton, on the eastern border of North Dakota, had little thought of the movement of oil trains before December 30th, 2013, when an oil train totaling 111 cars collided with an oncoming grain train. The 4 oil cars involved in the collision exploded into a fireball plume that could be seen for 25 miles. And the people of Lac-Mégantic, Quebec had no idea in July of 2013 that a runaway train carrying 2 million gallons of highly explosive Bakken crude was racing toward them and would explode in their city, killing 47 people and incinerating their city center. Later, tests done on Bakken crude revealed that it's the most volatile grade of oil when compared to crude extracted from 86 other locations around the world. Activists in North Dakota rallying against the transport of Bakken crude refer to the trains that leave their borders as bomb trains. And remember those 150 fully commissioned ICBMs that still rest deep underground in the state of North Dakota? Nestled like a crescent moon around the city of Minot, sharing the underground territory with the extraction industry? In a 2015 report on MSNBC, Rachel Maddow quoted from numerous memos the Air Force has sent to state officials warning them that seismic explosions from fracking could set off the missile launch facilities' vibration detection systems and impact the missiles. More concerning, the Air Force warns state officials that the busy railways running diagonally through the state carrying Bakken crude to the rest of the country pose a danger to the ICBMs because they pass dangerously close, in some cases within a few hundred feet, of several active Minuteman silos. Maddow reports that if a train explosion, such as the one in Castleton, were to occur at the moment when a mile-long oil train passes by any one of these ICBMs, firefighters would have little chance of approaching the silos for days. Spelling out the implications of this nightmare scenario, Maddow pursed her lips and said, "This is the definition of not a local issue." North Dakota, I'm worried about you. The companies you keep, all these new friends, North Dakota, beyond the boom, beyond the extraction of precious resources, do you think they care what becomes of you? North Dakota, you used to be the shy one, enchanted secret land loved by only a few. North Dakota, when I traveled away and told people I belonged to you, North Dakota, your name rolled awkwardly from their tongues, a mouth full of rocks, the name of a foreign country. North Dakota, you were the blushing wallflower, the natural beauty, nearly invisible, always on the periphery. North Dakota, the least visited state in the Union. Now, everyone knows your name, North Dakota. The blogs and all the papers are talking about you, even 60 Minutes. I'm collecting your clippings, North Dakota, the pictures of you from space, the flare-ups in your northern corner, like an exploding supernova, a massive city where no city exists, a giant red blight upon the land. And those puncture wounds, North Dakota, take care of yourself. The injection sites, I see them on the maps. 11,000 active wells, one every 2 miles. All your indicators are up, North Dakota. 400 billion barrels, some estimates say. More oil than we have water to extract. More oil than we have oxygen to burn. North Dakota, you could run the table right now. You could write your own tickets. So, how can I tell you this, North Dakota? Your politicians are co-opted or cowards or bought out or honest and thwarted. They're lowering the tax rate for oil companies. They're greasing the wheels that need no greasing. They're practically giving the water away. They have opened you up and said, "Come in, take everything." North Dakota, dear sleeping beauty, please wake up. What will become of your sacred places? What will become of the prairie dog, the wolf, the wild horses, the eagle, the meadowlark, the fox, the elk, the pronghorn antelope, the rare mountain lion, the roads, the air, the topsoil, your people, what will become of the water? North Dakota, who will ever be able to live with you once this is all over? I'm speaking to you now as one wildcat girl to another. Be careful, North Dakota.